Hello everyone, my name is Vipul. I work as a solution architect, platform solution architect out here in Bosch in Bangalore, India. And today I'm going to talk about how you can manage your users in Dataverse security roles and how you can manage it using Power Apps and Power Automate. So I will directly jump to the problem statement or scenario. So what happens while working on one of the assignment? There was a requirement of managing the users within the security role because within that security role, I was supposed to manage basically the user permissions or the authorization of the overall app. So since the authorization of the app is managed through security role, it was also intended to manage the users in that security role in the Power Platform environment. And to manage that security roles, there was always an admin user or a super user of the app who is the kind of a business user as well. And they wanted a screen where they can manage those users. And that's where this idea came in that how you can add, delete, or get all the users basically from a security role. So what I did was as a solution or an implementation that basically I created a screen, a UI screen where an admin user can basically add the user, delete the user, or get all the users, get to know all the users who are there in the security group. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate today, that how I achieved this during my implementation. But before that, I just want to cover a small, very small concept in terms of Dataverse security roles and the table relationships in Dataverse. So in Dataverse, when you assign the security roles, they are stored basically in a Dataverse table. We can't see this by default in Dataverse, but as you can see, there is always a relationship, many-to-many relationship between the security role and the user table. So this basically it's an intersect table which is having many-to-many relationship. So if you go to user table within the Dataverse tables, you see definitely a relationship. If you go to relationship, there you will see a relationship between the security role and the user table. So that's just a concept. I just used it. And during my implementation approach, what I did that I implemented a add delete user from a security role in Power Apps, because in Power Apps, if you go to Power Apps Canvas app, that is not possible directly to add or delete a user from a security role in Power Apps. So you have to use the Power Automate. Then only you can achieve that functionality. And even if you want to get all the members of a security role, let's say I want to show it in a gallery control, that is not directly possible in Power Apps, but yes, you can definitely achieve it using Power Automate. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate now. What you can definitely direct do in Power Apps, what is possible is that you can get the logged in user security roles. That is definitely possible. So for that, you have to use the users table and the security roles table within your app as data sources. And once you add it by using this simple PowerFX formula using show columns lookup, you just look up to the user table and then you make a comparison between Azure AD object ID with your user.enter object ID and dot security role. So it will definitely give you all the security roles of the logged in user. That is possible. That is directly possible within Power Apps. So I've also created a YouTube video on this, that how to get the user logged in user security role. But now I will directly jump to the demo part of it, which is related to how to add or delete the users from the security group and how to get the members from the security group as well. So I will jump to the Power Platform environment, and this is a simple Power Apps which I have created, where I just want to add an email address, and I want to demonstrate you that just on the click of a button, I can delete a user. I can add a user in a security role. So if I go to a security role within the Power Platform environment, I've just created a security role with the name, let's say test SR, test security role. And if I go to the members of this security role, for example, there are three members currently, Megan, Ruchi, and Vipul. These are the three roles which are there in this particular security role. Okay. So what I'm going to show you here is that if I pass a particular email address of a user, which I'm doing it from Power Apps, on the click of this particular button, I'm calling a Power Automate, which I'm going to show now. But before that, let me show you a demo that how, let's say there is a user, I'm just adding an email address here, and I just click on this button, add delete user. I am doing an add operation here because that is written in the code that I can show you later. But if I just refresh it and the user should be added, you can see this particular user, Mudit B, is added in this particular security role from Power Apps. So that is how we can implement this, basically how you can add delete a user. Now I will show you the implementation very quickly. On the click of this button, what I'm doing is I'm calling a Power Automate flow. So this is my Power Automate flow, Power App add delete user. I'm just running it on the click of a button or on select property of this button. I'm passing three properties here, which is the email address of the user. You can definitely send a list of users as well. It's not like that you can only do one user or one email address at a time. You can definitely pass an array or a list of users email address as well. And this I'm passing the security role name, and this is the operation. Basically you can pass delete or you can pass add. As of now, since I'm passing add, that's why you saw that the user got directly added in the security role. In case if I change it from add to delete, then this operation will delete that particular user as well. But before that, let me show you my Power Automate flow, which I created here, which is Power App add delete user. If I just go here quickly and edit it, I just want to show you that how I achieve this particular functionality. Let this Power Automate open, which actually takes the inputs. As I mentioned, three inputs. First, it takes the email of the user, which you are sending from your Power App screen. Then what is the role? Let's say, what is the security role name? Which in my case, what test SR, and what is the action? Action could be add delete. So this is just a Power Apps input. Then I'm listing the user from the users table. Basically, this is the filter rows. Internal email address is the internal column name equal to email, which is I'm passing from the Power Apps. This is the list rows user action. And then the magic happens, basically the apply to each. Then I'm listing the rows from the security rows table now. Now, why am I doing this? Because as I said, there is a many-to-many relationship between the security role and the user table, an intersection table. So there is a relationship between these two tables. So I'm just listing the rows from the security roles table as well, where name equal to the role name. I'm just checking that role name, which I'm passing from the Power Apps input. Once this is done, I'm just doing a compose action. Now, this is super important that I'm taking first output of what is my in the security role and odata.id. This took me some time to understand it, very frankly, but yeah, I figured it out. And then in the condition, what I'm just checking here is that what type of action it is. If it is an add action, go to yes. If it is a delete action, go to no. In the add and delete, I am just doing relate and unrelate of the rows. Why? Because relate is a function again, unrelate is a function in PowerFX. In relate, I am just relating the user table with a particular relationship and the row ID, and I'm just relating it with the compose output. And if it is a delete, then I'm just removing that connection basically between the user and the security row table. So that is how I implemented this particular thing. I'm just closing it now. I just want to show you one more functionality that let's say you want to get all the users of this particular security role on an admin screen. That also I have implemented that if I go to the next screen, now in the next screen you see all the four users it shows now, which are there currently in the security role. So this is another implementation. So here I'm just using a simple gallery. If I show you the implementation, this is just a simple gallery I'm using here, and on this gallery I'm just creating a collection of admin users, and that is how I am getting it. But for this as well, I am actually I'll show you on the on visible property. I'm just calling a Power Automate flow again, where I'm just passing the security role name and I'm just getting the members from the Power Automate flow. Once I get the members or the response basically from the Power Automate flow, I'm just splitting it with a semicolon, and simply I'm putting that particular collection which I've created using clear collect in the gallery items property. So in the gallery items property, if you see here, I'm just putting that collection, and that is how I'm showing the users which are there. So these are two of the demos which I wanted to show you today, that how you can basically add or delete user from a security group, or how you can get all the members. Why this is important? Maybe you might be thinking that why we are doing this activity, because in my particular scenario, there was a requirement of a admin screen where admin wanted to manage these on a user interface. But last but not the least, I just want to share one more information that not only let's say in the productive environment, if I talk about, it's always recommended not to add the users individually. It's always recommended to have the Azure AD groups. So you create Azure AD groups in your IDM or one identity management, stuff like that. create a AD group, Azure AD groups, and you can directly add the Azure AD groups within a security role. So you have to create a teams, just create a teams. While creating a teams, you can add the AD group and then just add that teams within your security role. So that is also possible if you don't want to manage the users individually. And that is also one of the best practice that you go ahead with the Azure AD groups. So that's all for this demo. Over to you, David.